Hey everyone, in this video I'll show you how I edit my images in Adobe Lightroom. I'll go through a few settings as well, and I really hope this video helps you learn how to use Lightroom better. Lightroom is a very amazing program. Adobe has the photography plan for $9.99 a month, as you can see here. So just gonna go check it out. So right here it has the photography plan for $9.99 a month. You can get Lightroom on your computer or your mobile phone. It comes with Lightroom Classic and Photoshop as well. But yeah, let's just get straight to it. So this is just a after image. I've already edited this image, but this is just an after, before, after with some edits. I'm just gonna show you some samples here of how I edited my photos. This is just how it looks after, before. So this shot is just a shot straight out of the camera, and this is just how I edit after using Lightroom. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. So let's just start with, start with this one of Penny wearing the Drive Cartel hat and Drive Cartel sweater. And so let's get started. So I'm gonna go up here to your right here where it says exposure. So this is what exposure does. It brightens up the whole image. You don't want to get this because it's gonna be too bright and this is gonna be too dark. And then depending on which situations you have, exposure does help. But for me right now, since this image is really dark, I'm just gonna brighten it up just a little bit. And now once we get to this point curve here, you can actually kind of play around with like the shadows and the lights and the darks as well, but we'll get to that. So let's just play around with contrast. As you can see here, this is what contrast does. And usually I have my contrast just a little higher, just so the contrast of the shirts and the outfits kind of just pop up a little bit. The highlights I don't really play with unless the sky or the background or the skin is really blown out. So as you can see, this is just a highlight. It's hard to tell, but the lights in the background, or the background, as you can see, is light and dark. And like I said, it just really fits your style. Usually I have my highlights on a shot like this at just a little higher. And the shadows, it's really up to you too as well, but I want to kind of bring out the sweater more and a little bit of the hat a little bit more. So I just have those shadows just pop out, not as dark. As you can see, if you put it all the way down to -100, those shadows are completely dark. Put it all the way to +100, it's bright. And then the whites, this will just control pretty much the bright whites of the colors in this image. So if you go here, it's not like exposure, this white bar will just pretty much this is what it does right here to this image. Super white, not as white. And usually I just want to bring up the whites just a little bit, and the blacks, you can play around with it. And like I said, we'll get to this point curve where you can play around with the shadows, the midtones and such. The blacks just a little dark, and that way you can play with it in the curves here. So let's just go to the tone curve, and this is what I was talking about. So you can play with highlights right here, the lights, the darks, and the shadows. And as you can see, this is what playing around with the shadows can do. These are the darks, so you're looking at like the darks of the image. And usually, since I have Penny under a bridge, it is a little dark, so I'm just gonna bump it up just a little bit. And the lights, I'm just gonna tone it down just a little bit. That way, her skin and the shirt isn't overexposed. And then you can play with the point curve, which you can just play with the highlights here and the tones here. As you can see, eyes aren't too blacked out. And these are the point curves here. What these point curves right here, the RGB, for me, what I use it for is just kind of really give the image of the color tone. So So for example, you can choose from a blue, from a yellow, and if you play around with it, you can kind of get an interesting color tone like this. Just reset this channel and show you just the green ones. This green, purple, green, purple. And like I said, just play around with it. I highly suggest when you do have Lightroom, just literally just play around with it. Just because, that's, for me personally, that's just the best way to learn. If you want to learn more techniques, comment below and let me know what you like to learn. Or, I just tell people, just go to YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube videos that YouTubers or photographers kind of skip over, but I'm gonna try to go through this as thoroughly as possible. So yeah, anyways, just going back to like the color tones, the RGB here, the curves. So just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna go like with this curve here, and it's a little green, so I'm just gonna bring it down just a notch here. And yeah, that's it. That's just like the feel of it, the color. So let's go down to the colors of the white balance. As you can see here, this is more for example, if the temperature would be for more indoor lighting. So for example, if you're shooting indoors and the lights are very yellow and you want to have a more neutral tone to it, this temperature bar right here would really help, especially with the tints as well. And for outside portraits, you don't really need it, but if you really want to get those tones, that like orangey, contrasty tone, you can just play around with this, and there you go. The vibrance is just pretty much how strong the colors, it's vibrant. Just think about vibrant. The vibrant colors, vibrance will just pretty much not saturate the colors, but make it more vibrant. And saturation, of course, just saturates the color. Just be very careful. Like for me, you can tell when a photo is very saturated, just because I believe sometimes people don't have their monitors calibrated, or they don't have a monitor that's for photos. So they could be like, oh, hey, my monitor is showing that right here at plus 69. It's totally fine. But when they upload it onto Facebook or social media, the colors are totally different. So just be aware if you are fooling around with colors. Make sure that you don't want to go too extreme or too low. That way, with the settings, with saturation settings, pretty much kind of mess up how the image looks like when you put it onto social media. So just be aware of that. But let's just go with just a little saturation, just to brighten up her face, or saturate her face here. And I'll show you in this color mixer here, since her face is a little orange on my eyes on my screen, you can actually make it brighter, have it less saturated. Maybe change it to purple or a little red if you wanted to, but just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna show you guys how these tools work and how powerful this Lightroom program is. And then let's just go to the blues where her denim jacket is, and go here with the hues. It's totally not the jacket, but with the colors popping out here, it's gonna match here. Like I said, you can go back and unsaturate it so the face isn't too orange. And then let's go to the effects here. I think I have my color mixer good. With the effects here, the texture just pretty much sharpens the image. As you can see here, I'm just gonna go all the way up here to the max, and you can kind of see it kind of just sharpens the texture of the skins and the whole image itself. As you can see, this is at -100. You can see the Drive Cartel patch being not as sharp, and then you put it all the way up to +100. It's very sharp, and that's what texture is. The clarity, have just a little bit dehaze. The clarity, this is what the clarity does. And I know some people love using the clarity on the people's skins. As you can see here, the clarity, if you go all the way to -100, clarity all the way to +100. So just be careful with that. I know I've seen some people use this just to cheap out on cleaning up the skin, but you could totally tell right away that it's just a quick and lazy effort. I wouldn't do this. Personally, I don't mind cleaning the skin, but when I need an image out that I love and the model looks totally fine. I usually just leave it clearly where it's at. Dehaze is just looking for, you know, the haze in the image itself. For example, if you're shooting cityscape and such, and you know, you have a hazy field or a hazy scene. For portraits, you don't really need it unless you're shooting much further and you can't release the model. But right here, as you can tell, don't really need to use dehaze tool at all. And then this is the vignette. I stopped using the vignette several years ago. I know some people like it, some people don't like it at all because, I don't know, it's just like I said, it's subjective. Personally, I don't recommend it for me just because it kind of takes away from, I guess, the style that I like. So vignette is just, you know, darkening the corners or making the corners brighter like that. Grain is just giving your image more grain. And I feel like this is just to give it more like a film look. You can't really tell unless you go 100% zoom, and then you can tell. On social media, I don't think you can tell the difference, especially since, you know, Facebook kind of destroys the quality. And then let's go to split toning. So split toning is also really nice because you can kind of, let's just click on shadows. As you can see, you can just look at the shadows like under the bridge and the pole on the right of this image. Just changes the colors of the shadows, and then the highlights, you're just changing the colors of the highlights. So if you do both at red, it'll be at red. Both the shadows and the highlights can be at red. But let's just play around here. Go with this just for the sake of this video. Okay, so noise reduction, this is what noise reduction does. As you can see, all the way to the left, noise reduction from 0, you can see the noise, which is pretty much like the information of the image. Then you can pull the noise, which won't give you those little red pixels. And I don't really deal with color noise reduction unless I'm shooting very low light. In this situation, I'm shooting in daylight, so you won't really need to really use color noise reduction. So yeah, that's it. This is how I edit my photos, just going through each setting here. And this is just showing you the edited image. And let's go to the original here. So this is before, after, before, after, and that's basically how I edit my photos. I don't have any presets right now, and I don't really buy presets. I just make my own presets just because like how my style looks. But if you like buying presets, more to you, just because if that's the way you want to work, it's all you. Photography is subjective. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you watching. If you went through the whole video, and if you have any questions, comment below. I'll try my best to answer your questions. I hope this video helped you with, you know, just learning how to edit in Lightroom, because it is a very powerful program. So yeah, thanks for watching everyone, and see you again.